I am Bonneau Ansley, an active real estate agent and founder of Ansley Real Estate, Christie's International, an award-winning Atlanta-based real estate brokerage that did over $3 billion in sales last year.
And I'm Chris Tuff, one of the first advertisers to work directly with Mark Zuckerberg in 2006. I've since gone on to be the best-selling author of The Millennial Whisperer and Save Your Asks.
And this is Brokering Billions. This podcast is about uncovering the hustle, perseverance, mindset, and tricks that are used by the top real estate agents in the country to help you take your business to the next level. In today's episode of Brokering Billions, I have the pleasure to speak with Holly Parker with my partner, Chris Tuff. I got to know Holly because my wife was reading a book called Back on the Market. She said, Bonneau, do you know Holly Parker out in New York? If you don't, you're an idiot because she is a complete rock star. So I called Holly, got to know her, and now she's on our episode.
Some of you may have seen those clips on Instagram and TikTok of those unbelievable $100 million penthouses. Well, guess what? A lot of the time, it's Holly who's behind those deals. So get ready because here comes Holly.
Oh my God, I'm so excited today. I'm Bonneau Ansley.
And I'm Chris Tuff.
We're brokering billions at our podcast here at our headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia at Ansley Real Estate, Christie's International. Guys, you're not going to believe the superstar talent that we've got for you today. Oh my God. I don't know if y'all can see our guest right now, but she's a supermodel. And she also has sold over $10 billion of real estate in her career. Last year, they did $386 million. She's with Douglas Elliman on the Holly Parker team. And guys, this is the real Holly Parker. Holly, welcome to Brokering Billions. We cannot wait to dive into your life. You're a best-selling author. You're a rock star. You've got a set of twins, like Chris is a twin.
Yeah.
And we want to hear everything about you. So with that, I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys.
Well, let's dive into it, right? So, Holly, you're a fixture on social media. Your properties are absolutely amazing. You're all over New York. How did you get your start in real estate? Because it always probably wasn't like it is today, right? You started somewhere. We've got listeners that are just starting their real estate career. We've got listeners that sell 20 million, 40 million, 100 million, right? And they're all here to listen to how you got to where you are, what they can learn from that mindset, how you built your team. But let's just take it back to school. Tell us where you started in school. Tell us where you grew up. Tell us how you got in this career of real estate.
Oh, gosh. Wow. Okay. So I am from New England. I'm from Rhode Island, the biggest little state in the Union. And I went to school out west at Washington State. I went to the University of Puget Sound. I'm a big adventurer. And I knew I'd end up back in New England. So I wanted to explore. And that was amazing. Very, very cool experience. And I came back and I worked in Boston where my father had worked for his whole career. And one of my first jobs, when you're just paying the rent, right? We were temping. I lived with two of my roommates and we were just trying to get money to pay the rent and buy beer. And so we were temping. And then one of those temping jobs turned into full time. And my job was to relocate executives to Boston from London. It was Waterstone Booksellers. So in doing that, one of the things that I had been doing throughout that temping job, and someone gave me this advice, it was such good advice for people of all ages, but certainly those in their 20s, is to interview everyone that the family knows. hey, can we grab a drink? Can we grab a coffee? What do you like about your job? What don't you like about your job? What's the ceiling?
Love it.
Right. And how much vacation do you get? And I took that to heart, and I was doing that. So I started doing that to these other brokers when I was relocating executives. And what I found was, wow, I really like their lifestyle. They can just grind when they want to grind, and kind of, take time and travel when they need to catch their breath. And I really liked that aspect of things. So I kind of, right out of the gate, I was 22. I was super lucky in that I learned so early. And I think I did learn because of that inquisitive process. I knew I wanted a very big life, a life of adventure, right? And I mean, the real estate certainly gives you that, right?
Yeah, seriously.
Absolutely.
Especially in New York, right?
So when you started at 22, were you an assistant to somebody, or did you start with your own clients?
That's an interesting question. So, like, right out of the gate, I worked at a rental place on Hancock Street in Beacon, like right at the base of Beacon Hill. And I just thought, well, let me see if I can pay the bills with this. And I started in rentals, and I was broker of the month, like the second month I was there. And then I thought, okay, well, let me see if I can do this for real. And called a family friend and said, would you be my mentor? Can I come over to Caldwell Banker? I just, I have something to show you. I know you don't hire kids, but it's my second month, and I did 8 rentals, and I was broker of the month. So he said,
awesome.
That's impressive. Come on over. And he became my mentor.
Right.
And then when I proved that I could do it there, I waitressed at night to pay the bills while I transitioned into sales. It was right across the street from my office, which was nice. Then I proved that I could do it there. I did, probably 7 sales. And I said, move over, New York. I'm coming to take over the big city, and move down here. So it was baby steps, but it happened quick. And those first years in doing sales, it was, I did have to waitress at night, and I did have to hustle doing other things. But again, you're meeting people, right? When you're doing those other things. So people were very kind and wanted to help me and started referring me, and
And look at you now. That's fantastic.
The rest was history.
So you've got 15 people on your team. How is that arranged? Are they all producers? Do they all work in a supporting role for you in some capacity?
No, it's all different depending on people's situations. What I learned was, and I really wanted to capitalize on the people who were coming back to work, there were moms and had careers prior, some in real estate, some not in real estate. And they said, I really want to get back to the office. But I don't want to have the pressure of, having this quarterly sales pressure. What can we do here? And I thought, this is an opportunity to really help people and train people. So those people, I have referral directors. So what they get is they're out there and they bring their network to us, right? Hey, I have this broker that, or I have this friend that wants to buy an apartment. What we can do is we step in and they're with us for the deal, right? So one of the things that I look back on my career and go, when you're learning, some of those first few deals are your guinea pigs, right? You're learning through them, and then you don't want them to be your guinea pigs because they're being so loyal in using you. So how can you make that work? How can those wonderful people that want to support you get that same support back and getting the absolute best service that they can? And so this is working really well because these people, these women are so excited to be back in the office, having a routine, but they can be there for their family when they need to run out. And when they have a deal, they're learning but that person is getting unbelievable service.
You're overseeing that with your team from contract to close and making sure there's no pitfalls throughout the transaction, and you're making your friend or referral partner also look good.
Right, exactly. It's, we've kind of had that going on now, I would say about 12 months.
Cool.
And I was just saying this morning, I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of us for taking the chance.
Love it.
Because what you don't want to do is all you have is your time, right? And we all get solicited, probably you guys every single week saying, I just got my license in real estate. Can I have one-on-one tutoring every day?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's one reason why we're doing this podcast, right? So we can help and educate the newly licensed people from all over the country to understand what it takes to, broker billions or broker 10 million or 20 million or whatever you need to do. And the wisdom that you can provide these agents that are just starting out is absolutely phenomenal. Or the agent that's been stuck at selling 15 or 20 million dollars for the last 3 years. How do you break the gap and go from, a good agent to a great agent, right? And then keep going up from there. Was there a time, Holly, that you remember where you were just kind of coasting along and doing the same amount year over year, and you kind of said, God, I need to really change something in my team structure or in my business to really start taking it to the next level? And then from that, it just kept feeding itself?
Right. That's such a good question. Coasting, I wouldn't use that word coasting because in New York City, someone will run you over if you coast. But yes, I was working and selling the same price range. And I really had to get under my own hood because I started seeing that as we all are, I was at that moment being my own worst enemy. And I realized that there was this connection to value. I wasn't valuing myself enough. There was some sort of punishment in there that in my mind that was saying, you don't deserve that. You don't, it was some complicated stuff. And until I started really, truly valuing myself and saying, no, wait a minute. You do deserve this. You are awesome. I had to be, as I say in my book, I had to be my own best friend and I had to marry myself. And I had to get, I'm so good at championing everyone else. I am the number one cheerleader for my clients, but I needed to be the number one cheerleader for me. I needed to be my own best advocate.
So let's talk more about your book, Holly, and for listeners out there, right? Back in the Market, Realtor's Guide to Love and Life. I'm going to make you pick your favorite part of the book, right? In terms of the application for those listening, which is your favorite thing to bring up in interviews like this that you feel like people can that they can walk away and apply to either their life or their job in real estate?
Well, I think it was that connection. I had, for those that didn't read the book, I went through a divorce that I was, really sad about. And I lost a 20-year best friend, which I also was devastated about. I chose both of these people for my soulmates forever, and that wasn't in the cards. So one, I relate that journey to real estate, but it was that aha moment where it's kind of just what I said. I stopped feeling and searching for that other person to complete me. And I started being my own best friend and my own advocate. And I'm one hell of an advocate. So if you have me behind you, your life is going to change for the better. I mean, it's like, a hurricane's kind of a negative term, but it's a hurricane in a good way.
Right.
That I can lift you up, and people, I see it in the people that I back.
Hurricane Holly.
Hurricane Holly.
Holly.
I do. It's a game changer, but I hadn't done it for myself. And in the book, I bring you on this journey, and all of a sudden it clicks that's the person that was missing was me. I was the person I'd always been waiting for.
That's
I just said that on
incredibly
Mother's
impactful.
Day.
It really is. That's profound.
Holly,
Seriously.
what I loved about your book was it was really clear to me when you started talking about the clients, and everybody's looking for something, right? It's the ego buyer or whatever. Can you kind of speak to that part of the book? It was incredible how you related to every buyer you had, and then being able to find that buyer the correct, property for that buyer.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That's the thing for me. That's what I absolutely love about this job, because it is being a life coach, a psychologist, and then being in the place where they're not sitting with me and leaving my office and it's not up to them to fix their life. I'm actually in a position where I can see what's missing and go fix it for them. Right. And be very hands-on about it. So some people have come to me when they've lost their spouse, through sickness, and that's so devastating. And some people have been divorced and they're moving back into the city. So they're looking for more than a home. They're looking for this new life. And so it's more about these four walls and a ceiling. It's, well, where in the city is this person? Like, what are their passions? And who can I connect them to? And what is nearby where this is really going to become the stepping stones to get them this new life that they're telling me that they want, right? And I can help get there. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to write the book, is because, that next step of finding that thing. Is it a person? Is it a career? Is it a place? Just taking my reader through that. And when we can really connect to ourselves, all of that becomes a lot more clear.
I love that. Well, one thing that, coincidental or not, I've been following someone who I've known for years, Mike Bizzaro, who's on your team on social media, Holly. And, I don't stop. My thumb doesn't, my thumb's always scrolling through stuff in between things, right? But sure enough, almost every time I see one of your all's listings, I'm like, what the heck is this? This is the most insane bathroom. I'll be like, honey, come look at this. They have a bathroom that literally there's stuff I've never seen before. Your ability to show these epic properties on social media and Instagram and create something that is truly not only thumb stopping, but shareable. Talk a little bit about the role of kind of that marketing for you. I would guess that's been super impactful to your business.
And I'll add on to that. I follow with your weekly reports or whatever they are that come out and say, hey, in the city, this is how many sold. This was the average price. This was this was that. And it's very telling, right? And I think that you have followers that just want to see what's going on in New York. And that's great for you guys, because when they want to go buy, they know who to go to. So when did you start that presence in social media? It's excellent. It's an A+ relative to, other agents in around the country. So love to hear about that.
Well, it's just hearing your feedback, right now, what you guys think is so cool. My friends and connections would call and be like, take us in. You might think that this is regular. It's not regular. This is amazing. I want to see more of those bathrooms, or take me into those penthouses, because
right.
I'm at the point in my life, I just turned 50 and I've been doing real estate longer than I haven't been doing real estate in my life.
Wow.
And so to me, it is regular, not regular. I mean, it's still really spectacular, but you know what I'm saying. With all of these years, I'm saying, yeah, this is a beautiful apartment. And the person behind me is saying, beautiful. This is the most amazing apartment I've ever seen. This is insane. And then I'm like, well, if you think that, then let's go see this.
So going back to that, right? You've been in real estate a while. So have I. Do you ever need anything more? I kind of needed something more. And that's why I started my business 7 or 8 years ago, to kind of have a platform where I wanted to go under, right? you wrote your book, right? Maybe you were in a point in your career where you said, geez, I want to kind of do something more. I want to help more people. Did you get to that a point where you said, geez, I'm doing so good in real estate, but it's kind of on autopilot, and in my entrepreneurial capacity that obviously you have you ever just wanted more, and that's why you keep doing other things?
For sure, right? I mean, we anybody who's kind of in the searching and kind of pushing themselves, right? We always want to be uncomfortable. So when I'm in a comfortable spot, I think, okay, what can I do to push myself here? So a lot of that was the book. And then the book is now being turned into a series, which is exciting. There's many hurdles to go yet, but it's in the process of being shopped, and that's super exciting. And then I am really involved in doing a documentary on anxiety in children, which we started also with my co-author, Laura Morton, who's written over 40 books and 21 bestsellers. So I like to introduce her as America's best storyteller. And so who better to tell the story of anxiety in children and what's going on? So that's really cool. So, just new things to keep us engaged. That focus, that excitement it's necessary, right?
Well, it almost makes you better at your job, right? I talk about this concept of we all have a currency, right? Your currency is real estate. And then off of that currency, you've got to have these passions on the side that you're cultivating. Yeah. Even if it keeps you going, but it also makes you more interesting, right, Holly? Right. I mean, when you're able to talk to someone or a prospective client about your expertise in dealing with their child's anxiety, that's more than just a surface level connection, right? And you're practicing this stuff, and so I think that's so profound. New York, I would guess, is probably the most competitive city in the world, absolutely ruthless. And here you are at the top of the game in what has been in any market the most ruthless of professions, right? What is your one piece of advice?
So my one piece of advice is kind of what we just touched on, right? And in my book, I call it turning your lights on. And we've all gone to that listing, right? Where we've walked in and the broker did not turn the lights on. Sometimes they're sitting in the lobby, they had time, but they didn't go upstairs and turn the lights on. And that's always such a head scratcher to me, because it's a totally different showing. It's a totally different showing than walking in, having music. We call it lights, camera, action, right? In real estate, we call it lights, candles, music, action. Right. And, we have the party going like you would be, hosting and welcoming someone into your home. That's how the home should be entered, period.
Hit all their senses when they walk in, even a candle with smell, the sensory with the music, making you feel good about walking into this home, right? People don't do it.
People do not do it. I mean, very, very rarely. Still, they don't do it. And with all the shows and everything, they don't do it. So that is the most important thing, to have someone. If they're early, I say, hey guys, you're so great. I'm so glad that you're early. Let me just do a once around check to make sure we're ready for you. Give me 2 minutes and then, just come right up. But I don't let them, we don't walk into the house ever together. That's not something I'll do. So putting your lights on, but what about us? What about us personally putting our lights on is what we just said. If we're not engaged, if we're not focused, and can you be engaged in real estate 24/7 for your entire life? Probably not. So find something else that is engaging, because you'll bring that energy with you. And that's what I did with the book and with the show and with the documentary. That keeps those challenges happening in my life. So when I am in the space, I can have that excitement. My lights are on, so people can be interested enough, hopefully, to hear what I have to say about the apartment.
So I'm obsessed with smells, Holly, and I spend way too much money on Le Labo candles and everything else. And I mean, I will actually say, like, it influenced my purchase, right? And it was a combination of a few very, very expensive candles that convinced me to buy that house. But do you have a candle of choice, or do you do that thing? Or is it like—
I do that thing. Actually, when you're going to have to get a book box now, because when I sent out my book boxes to friends and clients and press, it came in this big blue box and it had a big candle in it that obviously smelled amazing, because that was part of the book. It needs to, as people put on perfume to go on a date, because it's part of the attraction process. It's the same thing in real estate. We all form our opinion inside of 7 seconds. So why aren't we using the house and that entrance point the same way we go on a date? It needs to be the same. And those who aren't brushing their hair and putting on perfume for their dates, that needs to be a part of it too.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
The attraction process.
Totally.
Holly, I'll tell you, what is your highest sale that you've ever done?
That was over the pandemic for $52 million at 111 West 57th Street.
That's incredible. What's your
we did
most
the highest sale uptown, and we did the highest sale downtown in 2020. One was over Zoom and one was in person, but we were the number one team in the hardest year in history to sell in New York City. And that's the thing I'm most proud of. When people were losing their minds, we were there. And we were trying not to lose ours.
Yeah, seriously.
Holly, from a standpoint of your most interesting sale, right? It might not be your most expensive, but your most interesting sale. We've all got crazy stories on selling houses and selling condos. Do you have one that comes to the top of your mind that is just so unique?
God. So unique. Well, usually that's just when you really feel like you were the clutch person. Like if they did not have you, there's no way this would have happened. And there was a sale I did when my boys were about, they were probably 12 weeks old. And someone called and said, she said, I had a brain aneurysm. I could really die at any time. I could have another one and be dead. And I want my daughter to live near me because every day is a gift for me. But she needs 2 apartments next to each other in this building where I already live. Neither are for sale.
What?
Can you help me?
Amazing.
Wow.
Tell me you made it happen. Did you make it happen,
And
Hurricane Holly?
you guys, when I tell you, it was crazy. It was crazy, the roadblocks that were coming at us, where we would get something, but maybe, and then only if you move my art, but you couldn't move the art because, I mean, there were so many things being thrown at us. It was a real battlefield.
So were you just like knocking on doors? Like, how did that unfold? Were you just unbelievable?
Luckily, I'd sold the building. I had sold the building in 2009 and 2010 and 11. So I had some familiarity of the clients but they didn't want to, I had to talk them into selling, and she didn't want to overpay.
So it wasn't a blank check either. Go find me the ears. I don't care what it costs.
Right. She didn't want to pay. She wanted her value. She wanted 2 people who don't want to sell, and they needed to be next to each other, but we pulled it off.
Oh, for our newer agents, what's one thing that you feel they need to do or embrace to become, better agents, work with clients, try to get higher price points?
I would say that they need a routine. They need to write down what they are committed to doing on a daily basis. And my suggestion would be that at least 90 minutes of their day should be for themselves, preferably the first 90, and setting them up for having a successful day, to get up, work out, meditate, have breakfast, write your goals down for the day.
I love that.
And
That's so good.
just doing those things repeatedly. And I get it. I have kids. My guys wake up at 6:45. But for that year, 2020, I woke up every single day at 5 a.m. because I had my aging parents with me. My mom has Alzheimer's, and my kids and all my clients. So there was a lot of needy people. And if I didn't wake up and take care of myself first, I was never going to get to me. I was not going to ever get to me. So that became my oxygen, and it paid off because we were able to do, these tremendous sales, and we were number one that year.
One thing that's amazing about what you've been able to do, Holly, is, a lot of agents are aspiring to build a personal brand, right? And I want to use a story quickly. I was recently in Turks with my family, hanging out at the pool, and we were just, hanging out with this family from Nantucket, and he said he was in real estate. And, as we were talking, he goes, I told him about what these interviews we were doing, and his immediate response was, "You've got to interview Holly Parker in New York." And
that's nice.
I was like, actually, she's the one person that Bonneau said we have to interview, right? Like, you were number one on the list, right?
And that's because you built a brand. I mean, period. People, you've got great social media presence. You brand yourself well, really, really well. And that carries a lot of weight.
It does. So talk about, like, where do people start? For those listening, be like, okay, they're just trying to keep up. They're following a lot of the other agents in their market. Where do you start in building that personal brand for yourself in your local market?
Well, I think you really got to be authentic to who you are. And I say that in the book, you got to fly your freak flag, find out what is unique to you, what makes you you. And, whether it's a mess or not, make your mess your message, figure out what makes you unique. And mine is, I've always been kind of an open book, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with sharing my weaknesses. And I'm okay about talking about struggles. When Facebook came out so many years ago, the thing that made me so crazy was I didn't like all these images of perfect moments. They're not real. And I just thought, this is not good for people.
Right.
If you're going to show these perfect moments, I want to see the moment that is not perfect. Just be real. Why are we trying to be these things that we're not? So that's me, right?
Sure.
I'm the truth bearer of, like, it's not all good.
Right.
That's great to be relatable, right? Because
Right.
nobody wants to work with somebody that's absolutely perfect, right? Nobody's perfect. They might, have a persona that everything's great and I'm the best, but we all make mistakes and everything else. I make the most, right? And I, built a business on making mistakes here. So that's great to hear.
I've become friends with, do you know Lydia Finette? She's the head auctioneer there at Christie's, and she wrote The Most Powerful Woman in the Room Is You. I got to know her in interviewing people for my book, but she brought up such an important point that I think you're illustrating here, which is that when you're sitting at that table, right? She said to me, I'm sharing the stage in these tables with people like Bruce Springsteen and Matt Damon. And the reality is that at that table, only 5% of those people will ever be memorable, right? And I use that as kind of the segue, the importance of building a brand, but also the importance of what you're talking about around using vulnerability to create that connection, right? Be real. Go in there, have those questions. Talk about more than just that surface level stuff. And what I love about this podcast is you've gone there today with us, and that's inspiring to, I think, a lot of listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Holly, thank you so much. You've been an inspiration to all of our listeners. You are a true rock star. And we thank you so much for everything that you've shared with us today.
Yeah. And so for those people that want to reach out to you, what is the best way that they can follow along in your journey or ask you any questions? Is Instagram, or could you want to plug that?
Instagram's great. There's also hollyparker.com, but my Instagram is hollyparker_NYC. Yeah, reach out.
I love it.
This has been fantastic. It's Bonneau
And Chris.
and we're signing off from Brokering Billions.